From the Coliseum in Los Angeles, it's the Los Angeles Raiders and Seattle Seahawks. The AFC Championship playoffs for your enjoyment this afternoon. Pete Gross with Steve Rabel with welcome to our broadcast as the Seahawks riding a wave of emotion with victories last week against Miami and the previous week against the Denver Broncos. Take on the Raiders this afternoon. A sellout crowd on hand. The weather a little bit on the overcast side as we get set for the kickoff.
We're going to go return left. Let's block the rest. We got to set the pace right now. Here we go.
When the Seattle Seahawks fell to the eventual world champions in the AFC title game, the clock finally struck 12 on a Cinderella season that had provided football's most compelling story of 1983. Since their creation, the Seahawks had been the team born on the wrong side of the tracks, the neglected stepchild of the NFL. Tucked away in the Pacific Northwest, largely ignored by the rest of the country, the Seahawks were rarely regarded as anything more than a curiosity. But that all began to change in 1983 when team president Mike McCormick selected Chuck Knox as Seattle's new coach.
He's a player's coach. He's always been a straight shooter, and if he tells you something, you can rely on it. And that's one of the main reasons that I came here, because he knows me and I know him, and I know exactly what he tells me. That's the way it's going to be.
I've often said that you can probably take him in a situation where he's talking to people, to chairman of the boards or board of directors, and at the same time you can take him down on the block where the boys hang out and sing songs, and he can communicate there too.
He's a player type coach in the sense that he gets down on the ground with the linemen and, you know, puts his head on backwards and he shows them what he wants done. All the coaches know X's and O's. He just gets his players to believe in the way he wants his X's and O's run.
These players in Seattle have never won. Consequently, it's very, very difficult for them to find that little minute difference of what it takes to get from the have-nots to becoming one of the haves. They have never been able to rise to the occasion and win the one game that would put them in the playoffs, for example. And somewhere we've got to find a way to break that barrier.
By relying on a carefully crafted plan that had brought success in the past, Chuck Knox would lead the Seahawks to their greatest season ever. The first move in Knox's plan was the acquisition of a game-breaking runner. Top draft pick Kurt Warner made sudden impact on the very first play of his pro career.
Seattle set to go with their first offensive play. Warner gets a pitch from Zorn, takes off around the left side, slips a tackle at the 25, up the sidelines to 35-40. He might go all the way. He's at the 40. He's down the sideline.
Eyebrows were raised when the Seahawks mortgaged 3 draft choices to get Warner. But by the end of the year, when Kurt won the conference rushing title, there were no complaints. The rookie from Penn State gave the Seahawks their best breakaway threat in club history. Never before had one player so clearly altered this team's course, and none had accomplished such a feat in more stylish fashion.
Well, he's clearly the best running back I've ever been around. He's got speed, he has tremendous balance. It makes the offensive line play a lot easier because he can set up a block so well.
You know, I can do a lot of things to help this team because I'm used in a lot of different situations. I'm not exactly crazy about my own running style. I mean, I like to do it like someone else, but I don't do it like someone else. I do it like myself. All I know is that I get the ball, I look for daylight, and when it's there, I try to break for it as fast as I can.
With the emergence of Warner, the one-time pass-happy Seahawks were now among the league's running elite. So much so that the fans called Knox's new-look offense Ground Chuck.
offense is a little bit more complex than it was in the past. People can't come in now and say, hey, if we shut down Largent, then the Seahawks are doomed. Now they have to contend with Kurt Warner.
With the AFC Rookie of the Year running in overdrive, the first phase of Knox's plan was complete. Now it was time to place some battle-tested faces next to young Kurt Warner in the team portrait. Their names were Bryant, McKenzie, Young, Jackson, and Bush. Veterans, well-schooled in the ways of winning. Men who Chuck Knox knew could provide badly needed leadership for the young Seahawks.
Well, there's some great talent on this ball club, and if I didn't think these guys could do it, I don't think I'd be here today. I feel like this ball club can be right in the thick of things when it all boils down. If we don't be in the playoffs this year, I'll be disappointed.
The Seahawks faced the league's toughest schedule, and a postseason berth seemed but a distant dream. But if the defense could play its part in Knox's master plan, then the playoffs might not be out of reach. With a front wall of Jeff Bryant, Joe Nash, and Jacob Green, and a swarming group of defenders behind them, the Seahawk defense became a Chuck Knox defense of tough and talented tacklers. Linebackers Keith Butler, Bruce Schultz, Joe Norman, Greg Gaines, and Shelton Robinson were joined by a thriller named Michael Jackson. A spiller named Dave Brown, and a chiller in All-Pro Kenny Easton.
Well, I'm vicious, no doubt about it. I play the game in a vicious manner. I'm not out there to hurt anyone, but my game is an aggressive type of game. And I think one thing that Chuck said early in the year, he said, you have to remember the things that got you to this point. Play hard and hit people hard and make things happen on defense. Create turnovers so that we can give the ball to our offense.
Turnovers, the specialty of the house for the Seahawk defense. With John Harris, Kerry Justin, Keith Simpson, and others in the secondary, no other conference team took the ball away from the opposition more often than Seattle. And few teams could transform those turnovers into touchdowns quite like the Seahawks. Knox and his staff built a defense that was not always airtight, but the unit always had larceny in its heart. A classic example was Seattle's first meeting with the Los Angeles Raiders. The Seahawks recorded 8 quarterback sacks and forced 8 turnovers as well, as the team bullied its way to one of the season's most critical victories.
Plunk at a deep drop to pass. He starts to pass. His arm comes forward. It's fumbled. Picked up by Robinson at the 8-yard line. He's heading for the end zone. Touchdown, Seahawks!
On offense, quarterback Jim Zorn improvised a scrambling touchdown run from a broken pass play. And then the league's premier special teams sewed up the victory for good.
Paul Johns, the deep man. Here's Guy getting the kick away, way up in the air. Johns runs up. He grabs it at the 25, takes off to his right to the 30, finds the avenue, 35 up to the 40, shoots through to the midfield area, foot race down to the end zone. Johns is on his way. Johns down the left side. Goodbye, L.A. Touchdown, Seahawks!
In 1983, the Seahawks became only the second team ever to lead the league in both punt and kickoff coverage in the same season. And return man Zachary Dixon earned another distinction with the first kickoff return for a touchdown in franchise history. Seattle's special teams, as always, were full of surprises, helping to put the final touches on the Knox blueprint. At mid-season, the Seahawks' record was 4-4. Ahead lay a stretch run that would propel the team into the rarefied atmosphere of playoff contention. In the 10th week of the season, backup quarterback Dave Craig was handed the starting job. He responded by leading the Seahawks to their second consecutive win against the Raiders, while confirming Chuck Knox's belief in Craig's abilities.
He has some great qualities. One, he's got a strong arm. Two, he's got great vision. He can see the field. Three, he's got a certain charisma in the huddle. He's kind of a street fighter guy. He's an unselfish guy that the team rallies around. He's young. He needs maturity that comes with playing. But I think he's got all the qualities to be an excellent quarterback.
He had played collegiate football at a school that no longer even exists, but tiny Milton College would be hard-pressed to find a better standard-bearer than David Craig. Craig made mistakes, but he also won ball games. And by season's end, he ranked as the #2 passer in the conference. Craig consistently found pass targets Charlie Young, Paul Johns, and Byron Walker. But his most impressive accomplishment was his ability to successfully lead a team that was still searching for its own identity.
I'm just intense and try and call the play right and make sure everybody believes in the play. Even if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not going to let them know that. I'm going to fool them somehow, you know, and convince them that the play is going to be a good play, and I'm generating some excitement. That's the way I try to be intense. I get caught up in the game. I just like to have fun out there.
Seahawk football became fun football in 1983, and no one appreciated this break from the past more than the team's finest player. For 7 years, wide receiver Steve Largent maintained a level of excellence even as the Seahawks struggled. But in the warm glow of the '83 season, Largent's talents were now blending with the excitement of the championship chase. Within such a framework, Largent etched a masterpiece performance of both substance and style. With only a few weeks remaining, Largent and the Seahawks were closing in on a winning record if they could take a series of late-season games. The first encounter was a wild shootout with the Kansas City Chiefs. In the third highest scoring contest in NFL history, the Seahawks tied the game in the closing moments of regulation, then called on their leading scorer to win it in overtime.
Norm Johnson is going to try this one from 42. Here's the ball game. Ball is down. Johnson's kick. He's got distance. Give me three. It's all over.
Explosive offense made the difference against the Chiefs, but it was sturdy defense and a little bit of luck that earned Seattle a victory in the Meadowlands against the New York Giants. Now, for the first time in their history, the Seahawks controlled their own destiny. A win in the season's final week would send them soaring into the playoffs. The Kingdome faithful rolled out the wave as Pacific Northwest fans from Anchorage to Yakima and Vancouver to Boise cheered on North America's team.
You just fired up in there, take everything you can, launch it back, and he's looking for it. He looking for you, all right, bud? That's the way to come. Heck of a heat, good heat. Keep coming, keep coming. Hey, we just started, baby.
The Seahawks and their fans had waited 8 years for this moment, and there was no way the New England Patriots were going to spoil it. In their best effort of the season, the Seahawks put on a football clinic.
First and 10 at the Patriot 46. Craig a play fake, back to pass, throwing deep up the right side. Largent's in front. Does he have it? He does. Touchdown Seahawks!
Craig ran for one score, then passed to Dan Dornick for nothing, as Seattle rolled to a 24-6 triumph and their first ever berth in the playoffs.
The fans on their feet. The Seahawks heading toward the middle of the field and put Chuck Knox on their shoulders and bring him to the center of the field as Chuck Knox gets a free ride.
In a jubilant locker room celebration, the victorious Seahawks savored their greatest triumph, a victory that would have been unthinkable just a few months before. And then, in a unique salute to the fans, the team took a King Dome curtain call. The Cinderella Seahawks were now on their way to the playoff ball.
This afternoon at the Kingdome, for the first time in their 8-year history, the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs against the Denver Broncos. Hello, everybody. Pete Gross with Steve Rabel, and a welcome to the Kingdome this afternoon as the Seahawks are going to be in the National League football playoffs, and this is indeed a great day for the city of Seattle and the entire Northwest.
The Seahawk defense quickly set the tone for the afternoon, and it was not very friendly. While Denver was held to a single touchdown, quarterback Dave Craig pitched a perfect game.
Back to pass goes Craig. Couple of steps back. Lost one in the end zone. Touchdown Seahawks to Largent. Back set behind Craig is back to pass. He's looking for Largent. Gets chased out of the pocket to his right. Now comes back left. Has a look in the end zone at the 15. Throws the end zone. Touchdown Seahawks. Beat Metzelars, the tight end. Paul Johns wide left. Largent to the right. Craig off a play fake is back. He throws one toward the end zone. Touchdown to Johns. You can pack your bags for Miami. The Seahawks are heading to the Southland next week to play the Dolphins. It is all over here.
The victory over Denver was not a surprise, but now the Seahawks faced a tougher challenge. In Miami's Orange Bowl, the experts predicted a Seahawk defeat at the hands of the defending AFC champion Dolphins. The fairy tale had gone on long enough. It was time for a return to reality. But Seattle knew that in all good fairy tales, miracles can happen.
We're going to challenge them. Everybody's got to give everything they got. No offsides, run like hell. We got to set the pace. Right? Here we go. Right.
If Seattle were to spring an upset, they would have to control the combat zone on the line of scrimmage. The front wall of Bailey, Bush, Essink, Pratt, and August cut down the killer bees of the Miami defense, and the disbelieving experts watched as the Seahawks took command. Touchdowns by Kurt Warner and Cullen Bryant forged a 17-13 fourth quarter lead. And with only a few minutes remaining, the Seahawks were on the verge of the year's biggest upset. But then the chimes of midnight abruptly sounded, and Cinderella's dream appeared to be over. Seattle's only mistake of the afternoon cost them the lead, and now only a precious few moments remain. Was there enough time for one more miracle?
This is the entire season now resting on this next drive. Now let's see if this interception has affected him. I don't think it will. I think Craig and the entire Seahawk offense are going to come out and move the ball down the field. Let's see what happens.
In a drive that will occupy a permanent place in Seahawk history, Dave Craig and Steve Largent combined on two remarkable plays that put Seattle in position to make their fairy tale come true.
Seahawks trail the Dolphins 20-17. Craig looks over the defense, pitches to Warner. He takes off around the right side. He's at the 5. Touchdown, Seahawks! The Seahawks are going to play in the AFC Championship game next week. Hard to believe.
Did you ever think you'd hear yourself say that?
On a rainy Miami afternoon, Seattle's football franchise was no longer the league's forgotten orphan. The Cinderella Seahawks were now dancing well past midnight in a glass slipper that had a perfect fit.
When you have faith in yourself, faith in your ability, what God can do for you, you can go anywhere. And it is proven here today. Nobody in the country believes that we can do it but us. But us.
Let me tell you something. One great battling job. I tell you what. Hey, hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray!
It's been a while since I've gotten one of these, and I know for our football team in particular. And we just like to, on behalf of the players on this football team, Chuck, we'd like to recognize you, give you the game ball.